my channel. I am Maricita Colors in English.
Hello, today I present you this nice headband or turban in knitting. I made with the garter stitch, that is punto Santa Clara in Spanish. I made 3 parts the same, and after this I make the cable stitch. This size is for us, the adults and teenagers. So now we learn to make this beautiful headband. I would use 40 grams of yarn of cotton. I used 2 yards because the yarn was so teeny. I will use the needle 4,50 millimeters. We will use 2 needle for 2 and scissors. So I will make the same stitches for my turban. For calculate the stitches, I will involve the yarn in my needle. I will make 24 stitches, so I involve 24 times. Here I have 20 times, 24 times. I let some centimeters more, and I let free the yarn. And I have now the calculated yarn. Now I will put the stitches on my needle. I help me with the left hand, and from the center to the left, right, and on the needle. Here we have 2 stitches. We open the yarn, the needle, from the left, we catch the yarn, left, right, and on the needle. Like this, I will make 24 stitches. Here I have 22, 23, and 24 stitches. We turn the knitting work, and here I will begin to make the garter stitch. The garter stitch is the knit stitch in both sides. How is the knit stitch? We insert the needle from left to right into the stitch. We pass the yarn, and this yarn stays on the needle of the right, and the stitch from the left go out. Again, from left to right, we pass the yarn, back the needle, and take this stitch. Like this, I will repeat 24 stitches. Knit stitch, punto derecho en español. Garter stitch, punto Santa Clara en español. Here almost I finish the row, hilera en español. I always insert the needle from left to right and pass the yarn. We turn the knitting work, and we must make the same knit stitch. From this second row, the first stitch we pass from left to the right needle, for that my border is uniform. So in every stitch I repeat the knit stitch, punto derecho. Now almost I finished the row and I only make the knit stitch. We turn the knitting work. Look, the yarn of the beginning that is in the right side tell me that this is the front of my work. I will make some rows more before I begin to make the division of our cable stitch. I am in the front and here I have 6 rows of my headband. You must work this headband with multiple of 3. So here I have 24 stitches. In every part I must have 8 stitches. If you want a little narrow your headband, only you must make 7 stitches in 3 parts, so it's 21 stitches. And like this. From here in the front, I will begin to make the division. First, I will make only 8 stitches. The first stitch I pass and I make 7 stitches more in knit stitch. So here I have 2, 4, 6 and 8 stitches. We turn the knitting work and from here I will work only these 8 stitches. The first stitch I make the knit and I make all the knit stitches. We turn the knitting work and like this I will make only these 8 stitches until that you have the long of your headband that you prefer. I will let you a table later. Look, the first stitch from this row we pass and we continue making the knit stitches. The knit stitch in both sides is the garter stitch. We turn the knitting work, we pass the first stitch and we continue making the knit stitch. In my headband, I made 80 rows of this purl stitch. Look how I count. I count from the 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 rows. In my turban, I have 80 rows that are 160 rows. When I finish these 160 rows, I will let these 8 stitches in a yarn and continuing with the another 8 stitches. I will make some rows and I will show you how I make. Here I am into the front. When I have the 80 rows, I will make this last row in knit stitches. You must make the 3 parts the same, with the same rows. Look, I will tell you how many centimeters. I have 4 centimeters of white of my first part. When you have the size or the long of your yarn of your headband, we will make in another yarn. Here I will show you how you can make. I pass the yarn into the stitches for protect our 8 stitches. Remember that you must make this headband, the 3 parts, the same rows. Later I will give you the table with the approximately longs. Here I make a tie. I will cut the yarn, and here I will make 8 stitches more. I pass again the yarn. I pass the yarn, and I make the first knit stitch. You can tie here for make more secure. And here I begin to make the 7 knit stitches more. Altogether are 8 stitches. For this you must make this headband multiple of 3. Here I have 2, 4, 6, 7, and I make the last knit stitch, that is the number 8. We turn the knitting work, and from here the first stitch you can pass on the needle of the right, and we continue making the 7 knit stitches. You must have careful. For this I prefer that you tie the first stitch in the previous row. We turn the knitting work, and we continue making the garter stitch. The first stitch I pass, and I continue only making the 8 stitches. You must make in this second part the same rows of the first part. This garter stitch is a little stretch, so you don't must make so long your headband. I will tell you at the end how many centimeters I have in this headband, that is for teenagers and for us the adults. So here I have the division of the 3 parts. Here is the first. Here I have the second. And you must make the same long of the first part. And when you have the second ready, you must make in the yarn and begin with the rest of the 8 stitches. I will show you later in my video that is a little advanced. Here of white in altogether is 12 centimeters, and I have the same stitches that my turband. Here I let you the table. Here almost I finished the third part of my headband. Look, I have 24 stitches here. I have 78 rows of this purl stitch, like I show you how to count. I only count these purl stitches in the front, and for make 2 purl stitches more I must make 4 rows more. This is the 80 row of the purl stitch, and I will make the last row in the front of the work. I am in the front. So here I have the 3 parts ready. I only count these purl stitches. Altogether are 160 rows. I have 49 centimeters of long. At the end, I must make the same rows that I make in the beginning. So I will pass the parts in the yarn for make the cable stitch or cable, no. Cable, trenza en español. Stitch, punto en español. Here I have the yarn in the 3 parts. So now I will make the cable. I am into the front. This is the front because the yarn of the beginning is in the right part. So I will turn. Always we make the cable in the front of our yarn. I will make one scotch for make secure my thread. Only for make the cable. And from the left to the center, from the right to the center. Again, this part from the left to the center. Always we must repeat from the right to the center. Now we make the cable. You must repeat only and always try that your three parts are straight. You can make a little tie for that our cable is good. Now we have the cable. I can finish to make these last parts always from the left to the center and from the right to the center. And now all the stitches I will make into the needle. We must have again the 24 stitches. 24 puntos en español. Try to count always for to know that we have complete and we don't lose the stitches. Look, it's very nice our cable. This is the third part that I made and I didn't cut the yarn. So when you make your cable, try to make a mark for to know that this third part must be in the first part of the right on the needle, for that we continue making the stitches without cut the yarn. So now we will make again all the stitches, the first stitch we pass, and we make again the knit stitches. Punto derecho en español. We must have again the 24 stitches. Here I find the second part and I continue making the knit stitches. Here I find the third part and we continue making the knit stitches. Now we join all the stitches. And now we continue making the gartered stitch. The first stitch we pass for that our border is uniform. And we continue making the knit stitches or the garter stitch. We must make the same rows that we make in the beginning. Look, here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 row. Here I will close the thread for the front of my work. The first stitch we pass, we make only knit stitches for close over stitches. So we make the knit stitch And the first pass over the second, look, and the second stay on the needle. Again, one knit stitch, and the first pass over the second stitch. Like this, we will close all the 24 stitches. Now almost I finish of close all the stitches. Close, cerrar en español. Here when I have the last stitch, I must cut the yarn. I let some centimeters only for sew good our headband. And we open a little the last stitch and we pass the yarn that we cut into this last stitch. Like this you close all the works in knitting. So we have ready our headband. Look, it's very nice, the stitches and the cable. Now I will tell you how many centimeters I have. I have 48 centimeters. When we made the cable, it's a little not so long. But remember that this stitch is very stretched, so don't make so big. Now I will show you how to sew. This is the reverse, and I will join reverse with reverse. Here I have the needle for sew. And we have the same stitches, 24 in the beginning and 24 at the end. So we must sew front in front. We pass into the edge, front in front, and we begin to close our headband. Here almost I finished to join front in front of my headband. This is the front of my work. We join reverse with reverse, and this is the front. Always we must make that our edge are in the same place, front in front. We turn to the reverse, and front in reverse are the same. Look, so you can use both sides. And now I lost the yarn into the center of the stitches. I try to make a loop, and I pass the needle into the loop for that my yarn is more secure. Try don't make so tight. You must let a little loose over thread. When you see that your yarn is secure, we can cut. And we have ready our beautiful headband turban in knitting. It's very nice with this cable. I use only the garter stitch or the knit stitch in both sides. And remember that our garter stitch is a little stretch. I want to invite you to subscribe here in my channel, Maricita Colors in English. It's total free, and you can find me in Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. If you like this video, you can give one like and share it with your family and friends. Thank you very much to all the persons that take a little time for write me. I love to read all your comments. We see us until my next crochet or knitting pattern. Ciao, ciao!